If you're using a rollator, you know how helpful they can be at improving your mobility, your balance, and your endurance. They're great. But did you know there's 5 things that you should never, never, never do if you're using one of these because it can actually lead to a fall? Let's not do those. Let's learn what they are so we can avoid them. I'm Dr. Sean, your PT guy, and our videos help you learn how to move better and stay independent so you can enjoy your life. Let's get started. Disclaimer! The number one hazard I see when someone's using a walker and it leads to a fall is not getting up the right way after they've sat down on the walker. What do I mean? Well, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know how urgent I am and how important I try to make it to always park your walker against something that's not going to move. If you park it in the middle of the area and you go to sit down on it, it doesn't matter if the brakes are locked, it's still going to slide, okay? Because the machine doesn't even weigh that much. I weigh more, my muscles are pushing against it. Doesn't matter if the wheels are locked, it's gonna slide out. But when someone actually puts it up against a wall or something immovable, they try to get up and they get up the wrong way. What do I mean? Like this. They're coming over like they're supposed to. They're gonna park it up against the wall. They put the back against the wall. They lock the brakes like they're supposed to. They turn around. Perfect. They sit down. Great. They take a breather. Maybe they read a little book or something like that. Play with their dog ear a little bit. And then it's time to get up. So what do? They try to get up and they get up like this. And then here's the number one hazard. This is where most people end up making a mistake using the rollator. They unlock, and then they start to swing it around like this, and then they end up tripping because they're swinging it around and they're throwing their balance off and they're trying to get it back in front of them, where what they should do is once it's locked against the wall and you're sitting down safe and sound and you get up, even if it pushes against the wall, it's not going to move. But from here, what are you supposed to do? Take some steps first. Keep your hands on the rollator. Come around. From here, you unlock, and then you start going your way. Now, another area of danger is when you're out walking outside and you need to take a break, but there's no wall to take a break on because you're maybe in, a sidewalk, or maybe you're in a parking lot, or maybe you're just walking out to your car. Wherever it is, if you don't have a wall to put your walker up against, that's going to be an issue. So like right here, if I'm walking and I need to take a break, and I take a break right here, and I go to sit down, then just like we talked about, if I go to try to stand up, it's going to move on me. It's going to scoot back, okay? So we want to just make sure that the wheels, there's something behind the walker, or you put the wheels or the bumper up against something. But if you don't have anything, what are you supposed to do? What if you're outside and you're in a parking lot? You can put it up against that little car curb, where the tires hit, or you can put it up against the bumper of a car. Just, put your bumper up against the bumper if you have to. But if you're out here and there's nothing else there's no tree or nothing at all to sit down on or to put it up against, you can put the front 2 wheels in the grass, okay? When you put them in the grass, that's going to be a little bit better. It kind of cinches down in, and then it's less likely to go backwards when you're standing up, okay? So it's not the best option, but it is a helpful option instead of just having it straight on the concrete or the asphalt. Put those back wheels or the front wheels either in the grass or in the mulch area and just kind of cinch it down in there. You sit down, it pushes the wheels down in, and it's a little bit more secure than right on the asphalt or the pavement. Then you stand up, and again, like always, you turn yourself, you unlock, you pull it out of the grass, and you're off. Now, another major danger with the rollators is the speed at which they can actually take off on you. Rollators, as you know, have 4 wheels on the bottom, which we love because that helps us go over the grout easier in the tile, the asphalt outside, even rugs. It's helpful on those guys because those wheels roll over instead of the rubber on a standard walker pulls that rug up. That's not good. But these guys are helpful for these things. But if you're not keeping that rollator close by, it can actually take off on you, especially if you have Parkinson's disease or if you're shuffling and you just can't really stop yourself from getting too far out and you can't bring it back. That's a danger. And these things, they can just take off on you. So what you have going on when you're using the rollators, you got to make sure you're keeping your elbows at your side. Okay, keep your elbows at your side. As long as you have your elbows at your side and you're looking ahead, that's going to be great. So you can just go along, keep those elbows at your side, and you should be good. Now, the moment you start to let it go out a little bit, it's going to take off. So elbows at your side, that's great. But if you're coming like this and it's going out like this and you can't pick up your feet and you're going to end up going down. And if you go down, your nose isn't going to be facing forward anymore. It's going to be facing the other direction. We can't have that. We got to smell my wife's good food. So anyways, we want to make sure we keep that walker close by. They're great walkers, but they're a little too fast for some people. Just like you wouldn't necessarily give a Ferrari to a 16-year-old. They're not ready for it yet. Some people aren't necessarily ready for the quickness that this walker has with those 4 wheels. Just make sure you're careful. Keep your elbows at your side. Squeeze those brakes. They're there for a reason, especially on slopes, and you should be safe. Another major danger or hazard associated with the walker is when you're using it outside. Now, when we go outside, we're getting our life back, right? But when we're outside, we have different kinds of slopes and inclines and declines and just different kinds of pavement that we got to be watching out for. With a rollator, if you are using the rollator on a slope, that's particularly dangerous. Now, it can take off on you, or if you just go and you're on a slight incline and you lock it up and you just let that go and you think it's just going to stay and you're just going to, you lock it up, it could just take off on you before you turn and look at your flowers or something. It's all the way down there. Now you're standing on top of a slope, you've got no walker next to you, and it took off on you, even with the brakes locked. So be careful on the type of slope that you're using it on. Likewise, if you are going to, let's say you're on a slight slope and it's not a super steep slope, but you want to just sit down because you're taking a break. Well, if you go to sit down and you sit down like this, then all of a sudden, oh no, it's taken off. So you see, it can be dangerous if you're sitting on a slope. So don't sit down on the slope when you're using a rollator because it can just take off even with the brakes locked in the back. Those brakes in the back, they'll stay locked, they're not spinning. The front ones spin and your weight itself with the device will actually send you down depending on how steep that slope is. So be very careful using a rollator on slopes. Don't lock it and then let it go because it's going to take off, could take off, and don't sit down on the rollator when you're on a slope. Now, another major danger or hazard associated with using a rollator is if you decide to start using it for transportation. You're not supposed to use it for transportation. You're supposed to just be able to sit on it and then get up. If someone is pushing you, you're going to be at risk because if you ever go to like a crack or something in the edge of the... Oh!
Are you okay?
That's why we never ever push anyone in the rollator because you never know when you're going to come to a crack or hit a little thing and it's going to flip or turn over on you and you're going to end up going to the hospital. Straight path to the hospital. No thanks. That's a danger. Never ever be pushed on a rollator because if you do, you're putting yourself at big risk of falling, and that's not good. So what happens if you come to a step or a curb or a threshold into the house and you're using the rollator? If you're using it the wrong way, you actually end up increasing your risk of falling, because what I oftentimes see is people will take their rollator and they'll lift it up like this, which shoves them forward and their balance is thrown off because it's a heavy machine way out in front of them, and they can end up losing their balance forward, or when they go to pick it up, they come backwards. So both of those put you at risk of a fall if you're using a rollator. So how do we get the rollator up the right way when we're coming up the step? Like this. There's two ways. One, you come up to the step, and I like to stagger my stance. That keeps me a little bit more balanced. And I'm going to grab the railing in the front. I grab the railing in the front, and I just want to get the front two wheels up on the step. And then I can walk it forward, and then I bring it up like that, and I lock it, and then I step up, okay? And then I can unlock and go. That's one way. The other way that we can do it is you come up to the step, you put the wheels on the front part of the step, you squeeze your brakes, which locks the back wheels, and you can kind of tip it really easily while you're holding the brakes. So you tip it back, you unlock the brakes a little bit, and again, the front two wheels are on the step. You walk it up, you bring it up, you lock it, or you squeeze the brakes, and then you step up, okay? That's how you get up the step safely without having to lift the thing, which throws off your balance. When you're coming down, you just put the front two wheels on the bottom, you go right here, you squeeze it, and you step down. So another major danger when you're using a rollator is when you're going up and down a step the wrong way. If you do it this way that I showed you, either of those two ways I showed you, that's going to be much safer if you're using a rollator. Now, those are the top 5 reasons that I've seen that lead to a fall if you're using a rollator. But I want to know what you've seen. What are some ways that you can think of that lead to falls when you're using a rollator? Could you post that down in the comment section below? Because we're all about trying to prevent falls, and you have good ideas too. So I'd love to see what you think down in the comments below. Speaking of falls, if you want more tips and training on how I teach people to prevent falls, you can find that in the description below. And if you want more videos just like this one to help you learn how to move better and stay independent to enjoy your life, click the subscribe button down below, and we'll see you in the next video.